Restream seems like it's online now. I'm not seeing anything on YouTube yet. We should still be streaming on, here we go, Twitch, and doesn't look like there's an issue. Sending data. Streaming on Twitch, still sending data on YouTube. What's up with that? Don't see anything live yet. This might help. Excuse me while I try to figure out how to get live on YouTube. Oh, streaming. Says that we are streaming on YouTube.
Yeah, you have to like.
Let's check again.
Together or something.
Do you want to check? I do restream.io in order to stream on both. I don't see that I'm live on YouTube here, but do you want to pull up Mindful Before Meaning, see if we're live? Thank you for bearing with me. It's been a while since I streamed, as you likely know. And
I think we are live, but it says that we're doing a guided meditation.
yeah, guided meditation is the default video title, which I should be able to change right here.
Isn't meditative enough for you?
No.
Anyway, it says live. It says it's excellent. Everything's excellent except how I look. Oh my god.
It's live, but there must be just a massive lag because it's definitely.
Well, I'm not dropping any frames. Oh, lag as in, yeah, I'm purposefully have a delay built in order so for it
You
to
still have to touch your hair.
not yeah. There's a 17-second delay built in so that way we
It's more than 17.
don't drop frames.
It's more. Is that how you do it?
Yeah.
But it's more than 17 seconds. But
It is
Considering
15
if you do
seconds
live.
according to my streaming software.
Drop
but
frames, like it gets jittery if you do it live.
when you build in a delay, I don't know how it works. I'm assuming it resends the packets over and over, and you have a 15-second buffer that ebbs and flows, so that way the streaming is more consistent.
well, one of the issues that I would run into is that my audio would start to desync.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't had that happen.
Yeah. That
Is
happens a lot.
it the processing power of your
Could be.
laptop?
Could be.
What like studio system or do you use?
The OBS.
OBS.
How
Okay.
can you live streaming?
It is a hefty program. You can, I optimized it a few different times for like, exactly like what my webcam, like made it not try to stream like super HD when my webcam's only like whatever. I done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, we
Anyway,
ran those issues.
welcome back. Looks like we are live on YouTube and Twitch. We are in the middle of Numa Pompilius. This is one of Plutarch's lives, and we're halfway through. We streamed so far the first half on Twitch, and we had technical difficulties syncing with YouTube. Now we are live on YouTube and Twitch. So this is our weekly Great Works of the Western World discussion group. None of us came prepared for the readings, and one of us has an eye injury. So we are reading out loud, which is incredible, which is just great for you.
So
The
technically,
best live stream that's ever been seen in human history, and we have the receipts to prove it because we're reading human history right now.
it appears that I might be the most prepared because I listened to all
How
of
far?
this.
All of it? You got to the end?
I got to, I think, halfway or more.
How much
Nice.
did you read?
I skimmed page 1.
I'm farther than you.
Here
No,
I am.
I did summaries and
I'm
other
at the
research and stuff.
university, like listening to it out loud on my way home.
Hell yeah, man.
Walking by people, just
Hell
like talking
yeah.
about Numa, and you guys didn't even read anything.
Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. All right, where were we?
Are we gonna try to finish this today? I don't know if I have time to do that.
You have time, man.
I'm
Relax.
supposed to be somewhere at 7.
Relax. Where you have to be?
Dinner.
Where?
Dinner.
Dinner with who? So more important than us?
Loaded question.
Oh, you're video game people?
No.
You're board game people?
One of them does go there, yeah.
All right. Whoa, whatever.
I can delay it. I'm just saying.
Where were we?
I can push it to 7:30.
Pythagoras, for if they were not celebrated with effusions of blood, but considered consistent of flour, wine, and the least costly. No, that's not where we were.
So
His
where are we?
opinion also of images is very agreeable to the doctrine of Pythagoras, who conceived of the first principle of being transcending sense and passion, invisible and incorrupt, and only to be apprehended by abstract intelligence. So far, Numa forbade the Romans to present God in the form of man or beast, nor was there any painting or any graven image of deity admitted amongst them for space of the first 170 years, all of which time their temples and chapels were kept free and pure from images. Such to baster objects they deemed impious, and to liken the highest and all access to God impossible except by the pure act of the intellect. So Islam is also plagiarized. His sacrifices also had great similitude to the ceremonial of Pythagoras, for they were not celebrated with effusions of blood, but consisted of flour, wine, and the least costly offerings. Other external proofs, too, are urged to show the connection Numa had with Pythagoras. The comic writer Epicharmus, an ancient author and school of the Pythagoras, in a book of his dedicated to Antenor, records that Pythagoras was made a free man of Rome. Again, Numa gave to one of his 4 sons the name of Mamercus, which was the name of one of the sons of Pythagoras, from whence, they say, sprang that ancient patrician family of Emili. For that the king gave in sport the surname of Emilius, for his engaging and graceful manner in speaking. I remember, too, that when I was at Rome, I heard many say that when the oracle directed 2 statues to be raised, one to the wisest and another to the most valiant man in Greece, they erected 2 of brass, one representing Alcibiades and the other of Pythagoras. But to pass by these matters, which are full of uncertainty, and not so important as to be worth our time to assist on them, the original constitution of the priests, called pontifices,
Got it.
is ascribed unto Numa, and he himself was, as it is said, the first of them, and that they have the name of pontifices.
You had it the first time.
Pontifices. From potent.
Oh, that's a lie.
Powerful. What is that? What?
The etymology here is false. Oh, there it is. Down
From
below.
potens.
Down below, it's correct. Keep going.
Pons.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful became, they attended the service of the gods, who have power to command over all. Others make word refer to the exceptions of impossible cases. The priests were to copy. Hey, we're in the middle of a live stream right now on Numa Pompilius.
Hello, live stream.
Hello.
You can tune in on Mindful Before Meaning on YouTube and or Twitch. Have anything to say to the people?
The people are very tired.
People are retarded.
Bad copy.
Roger that.
Who's wrong?
Come on over.
Nope.
Affirmative. Over. Priests were to perform all the duties possible to them. If anything lay beyond their power, the exception was not to be cavilled at. Cavilled?
I'm lost.
Cavilled?
I feel like you're
The
saying
most common
speak with an accent or something.
opinion is the most absurd, which derives this word from pons and assigns the priests the title of bridge makers. The sacrifices performed on the bridge were amongst the most sacred and ancient.
No. It's not supposed to be on the bridge. It means the bridge between the people and gods. Oh.
Who?
That's what the
Who
word
says
pontifex
that?
means.
Who's making this claim?
Etymologists and Latinists.
Hmm. So they know better than a guy who was alive when Latin was the spoken language.
Yes, because Herodotus describes hippopotamuses very well.
Hmm.
He literally describes horses that live in water because hippopotamus means horse of the river, river horse. He had clearly never seen one.
Right.
I think he's full of shit. So the same way that Herman Melville described in Moby Dick talks about how whales are not mammals, they're fish.
Hmm.
Totally wrong.
I think they're fish in the Bible too. I forget about that. I think that might happen that.
Hmm.
Do they make in the Bible, did they make a distinction between mammals and fish?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think fish are clean, but not all mammals are clean. I forget. It's been a while. But in Leviticus, I think there might be I think there is an issue there where they call. I don't remember. It's been a while, and I've also not drank, so my brain is so good.
Now you could drop the YouTube link in the chat if you feel so inclined. Where were we?
On bridge makers.
I'll do it.
The sacrifices performed on the bridge were amongst the most sacred and ancient, and the keeping and repairing of the bridge attached, like other public sacred office, to the priesthood. It was accounted not simply unlawful, but a positive sacrilege to put down the wooden bridge, which moreover is said in obedience to an oracle, to have been built entirely of timber and fastened with wooden pins, without nails or cramps of iron. The stone bridge was built a very long time after, when Aemilius was quaestor.
Quaestor. It was turned into a financial office.
Oh, quaestor. And they do indeed say that the wooden bridge was not so old as Numa's time, but was finished by Ancus Marcius when he was king, who was the grandson of Numa by his daughter. What? Marcius?
You
What's
know,
so funny?
You know, when you come across these Latin words or the Greek words, you're reading calmly and then you pause to say the word. So it sounds like, there's the recording and then some other voice slaps over the
Yeah.
word.
One of the things that makes me laugh sometimes is people will they'll raise their voice up at the end of the word that they don't know, and so it's like they're asking
it's a question mark.
They're like asking a question on each
Marcius?
word.
Marcius?
I mean, I'm not saying that you did that necessarily, but it's the thing
Right,
people do.
these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, honestly, it's like a major stumbling block for me in talking about sharing these is the names and the places. It's just like, oh my god, I have such a hard time with English words. How am I supposed to... In my head, when I'm reading it, I'm just like, oh, finished by Ancus, when he was king. Like, I'm just like, don't have to bother.
Sometimes, like, if you're in a rush, you can recognize just the symbols, like the word letters,
Right.
without having to pronounce it in your head.
Yes.
Skip over it.
That's exactly what I do, but I'm reading out loud, so...
Yeah.
So I feel like when you don't know how to pronounce the words and stuff, I feel like it makes understanding the text harder as well. It's like
Yes.
remembering is harder.
Yeah.
All that is harder. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
If I were Mr. Arthur Hugh Clow, at the beginning of each chapter, there would be a pronunciation index, and it would be like, here's all of the names, places, and words that might be difficult.
Of course.
The problem is they're pronounced different ways, like Byzantine.
Yeah,
Byzantine.
I don't care about that. I actually, I'm not suggesting that he tell me what the pronunciation is, but give me a brief on the words that I need to figure out how I'm going to pronounce them consistently so I can read smoothly through the text. Like a companion text that would be like, hey, heads up, here are the names, the places, and the difficult to pronounce words in the upcoming reading. I can learn the pronunciations before I start. Boom.
Of course, you could have done that by preparing as well. You could have
For the stream, for the discussion, yes, 100%. But when I'm reading it,
It's hard. No, it's hard.
to put in that extra raise the bar, the burden of, you know,
And especially, it's not like it's just one word you have to learn. It's like a whole bunch of random ones like mixed in.
Did your audiobook pronounce things seemingly correctly? Or was
Think
like
so.
mine which said Heracles instead of Heracles? That was when I quit.
So this is what I listened to.
Flamed and angry,
Oh.
for it owed its very existence to the reckless daring by which it had thrust aside the most warlike races of the country.
That's much better.
I can put a link to it if you want.
Sure.
Although it's too late now, I guess. But
I'll do this one.
Rowan for kilograms. Did you need something, or are you just checking in, or what?
I said nothing.
The office of Pontifex Maximus, or chief priest, was to declare and interpret the divine law, or rather, to preside over sacred rites. He not only prescribed rules for public ceremony, but regulated the sacrifices of private persons, not suffering them to vary from established custom, and giving information to every one of what was requisite for purposes of worship and or supplication.
do you like these?
What are they? I've never had one.
They're Takis sunflower seeds.
No.
Oh, no, I haven't had one.
You can have some if you want.
But I love gummy bears. I thought there might be gummy
You
bears.
thought they were gummy bears.
Sorry.
So what I know, the Pontifex Maximus was considered the highest, at least in the Republican times, considered the highest office, above consul, above censor. So it went quaestor, no, tribune, quaestor, praetor, consul, censor, Pontifex Maximus.
Where'd you learn all this?
Roman history class. In the books that I got from the Roman history class, because we didn't
Yes.
have to read it all.
But there was no, like, king, or Caesar, or...
None of the Republic.
And, like, did they call Dominus, like, whoever was superior to them? It's like saying sir.
Oh, you mean in everyday life? I'm not sure.
Wow.
These are good. I like these a lot.
He was also guardian of the Vestal Virgins, the institution of whom and of their perpetual fire was attributed to Numa, who perhaps fancied the charge of pure and uncorrupted flames, who would be fitly entrusted to chaste and impolluted persons, or that fire which consumes but produces nothing, bears an analogy to the virgin estate. In Greece, wherever a perpetual holy fire is kept, as at Delphi or at Athens, the charge of it is committed not to virgins, but widows past the time of marriage. And in case by any accident it should happen that this fire became extinct, and the holy lamp was at Athens under the tyranny of Aristeon, and at Delphi when the temple was burnt by the Medes, as also in the time of the Mithridatic and Roman Civil War, when not only the fire was extinguished, but the altar demolished, then afterwards, in kindling this fire again, it was esteemed an impiety to light it from the common sparks or flame, or from anything but the pure and unpolluted rays of the sun, which they usually effect by concave mirrors, or a figure formed by the revolution of an isosceles rectangular triangle.
Oh my god!
All the lines from the circumference of which meeting in the center. By holding it in the light of the sun, they can collect and concentrate all its rays at this one point of convergence, where the air will now become rarefied, and any light, dry, combustible matter will kindle as soon as applied under the effects of the rays, which here acquired the substance and active force of fire. These guys need to learn how to split sentences apart.
Yeah.
Some are of opinion that these Vestals had no other business than the preservation of this fire, but others conceive that they were keepers of other divine secrets concealed from all but themselves, of which we have told all that may lawfully be asked or told in the life of Camillus. Gigania and Verenia, it is recorded, were the names of the first two virgins consecrated and ordained by Numa. Conulea and Tarpeia succeeded. Servius afterwards added 2, and the number of 4 has continued to the present time. The statutes prescribed by Numa were for the Vestals were these: statutes. The statutes prescribed by Numa for the Vestals were these: that they should take a vow of virginity for the space of 30 years, the first 10 of which they were to spend in learning their duties, the second 10 in performing them, and the remaining 10 in teaching and instructing others. Thus, the whole term being completed, it was lawful for them to marry, and leaving the sacred order to choose any condition of life that pleased them. But this permission few, as they say, made use of, and in cases where they did so, it was observed that their change was not a happy one, but accompanied ever after with regret and melancholy, so that the greater number, from religious fears and scruples, forbore and continued to old age and death in the strict observance of a single life. For this condition he compensated by great privileges and prerogatives, as that they had power to make a will in the lifetime of their father, that they had a free administration of their own affairs without guardian or tutor, which was the privilege of women who were the mothers of 3 children. When they go abroad, they have the fasces carried before them. In their walks, they chance to meet a criminal on his way to execution. It saves his life upon oath that the meeting was an accidental one, and not concerted or of set purpose. Anyone who presses upon the chair of which they are carried is put to death. If the Vestals commit any minor fault, they are punishable by the high priest only, who scourges the offender, sometimes with her clothes off in a dark place, with a curtain drawn between them. But she that has broken her vow is buried alive near the gate.
I heard clothes were coming off and they got my attention.
So they're carried on a chair in public, and if some random person touches the chair, he's killed.
Okay.
If she commits impropriety, which one is it?
Any minor fault.
Any minor
Not impropriety. Any minor fault. They're punishable by the high priest only.
who scourges the offender with her clothes off in a dark place, but with a curtain between.
Sometimes with their clothes off. In a dark place with a curtain drawn between.
This is also very reminiscent of the Bible.
But if she's buried, what is it?
She's broken her vows.
She's buried alive near the gate called Colina, where a little mound of earth stands inside the city, reaching some little distance, called in Latin ager. Under it, a narrow room is constructed, to which a descent is made by stairs. Here they prepare a bed and light a lamp, and leave a small quantity of victuals such as bread, water, a pail of milk, and some oil. So that body, which has been consecrated and devoted to the most sacred service of religion, might not be said to perish by such a death as famine. The culprit herself is put in a litter which they cover over and tie her down with cords on it, so that nothing she utters may be heard. They then take her to the forum. All people silently go out of the way as she passes, and as such accompany the bier with solemn and speechless sorrow. And indeed there is not any spectacle more appalling, nor any day observed by the city with greater appearance of gloom and sadness. When they come to the place of execution, the officers loose the cords, and then the high priest, lifting his hands to heaven, pronounces certain prayers to himself before the act. Then he brings out the prisoner, being still covered, and placing her upon the steps that lead down to the cell, turns away his face with the rest of the priests. The stairs are drawn up after she has gone down, and a quantity of earth is heaped up over the entrance to the cell, so as to prevent it from being distinguished from the rest of the mound. This is the punishment of those who break the vow of virginity. You said which part was like?
That's intense.
The parts that reminded me of it were, so they're carrying them.
I would definitely die. I would be buried in that chamber. Dude, I
So
would
they're-
break my vows.
They're carrying these like naked virgin women through town, and you can't touch the thing that they're being carried in, or you get killed.
I'm the only one who doesn't spit out the hall.
You know what's about the hell?
No, I don't even know how to. How do you get the seed out of the hall?
So I like
Bite
take
it
a
in
whole.
half.
I take a whole bunch of them. I put them in my cheek, and I like slowly move them from one side of my mouth to the other. And when I
Yeah.
move them across, I open them up.
My coworker eats a bag of these every morning.
Who does?
My coworker,
Mm.
and every morning I'm like, I still don't know how to do this.
Bite him like this.
I feel like
Split open.
you gotta like make it the long way.
Oh, yeah. And then you just tongue out the seed.
I put the whole thing in half.
And then you have the seed.
No, I have like 15
You
pieces
spit.
in my mouth.
Everything else out.
For beginners, do one
Let me
piece.
try it.
I did, dude. You gotta bite it like this, like literally like. Oh man, my jaw's so strong.
Okay,
Now,
there are pieces in my
it's
mouth.
stupid. Don't even bother. Just split it with your hands and
No,
eat it.
it's a skill.
Well, the flavor is on the side.
I know. Why do they make them like this? We have machines.
Do I think it's soaked the
Machines de-seed sunflower seeds all day, every day.
Well, I mean, I suck all the flavor off first. I kind of like opening the seeds. Like, what would
This
do
is
with
your
my-
spit chart, right?
what would it do with my
No.
Which one? Oh, that's your drink.
Jesus Christ, you weren't kidding. I thought you were fucking with me.
Alcohol is edible.
What are we gonna do? This is why the Western world's gonna collapse.
You want to pause?
No.
Wait, so wait, no, I'll go back though. So they're so I'm imagining them carrying these naked women in like a handheld carriage thing,
Yeah.
Beer.
and if you touch it, you get killed. That's reminiscent of the Ark of the Covenant to me, where they like carry it with like there's like two rods that kind of come out,
Yeah.
and they carry it along. But anyone who touches it is killed by God, not by rule.
Well, opens it, right? Or even
No.
touches it?
You can't touch it, you get killed. Yeah. I think actually, maybe even look at it. It might have been covered. They may even had like a cloth over it. I can't remember. But you can't touch it.
Crazy.
You can't touch it.
You think it's real?
The Ark of the Covenant?
I think it was something.
Do I think it was a
And
good
I don't know
real
why there
ark?
wasn't. I don't know why that would not be real.
Yeah, I feel like it was probably real. Some sort of like holy altar type thing. Supposedly it had Aaron's rod in it.
But no one would touch it probably just because of the rumor, and so it's
Well-
substantiated.
Well,
Not
the
a
story,
big
the stories might be retconned as well, right? So I mean, supposedly, like as they were carrying it along, like no one could touch it except for the priests that were supposed to be holding it. They'd be killed. The other thing that reminded me of the Bible was the tabernacle, and I missed a little bit, but there's like a cloth, there's like a curtain dividing parts of something off or something.
Mhm.
The tabernacle has the same thing, where like there's like an inner chamber that's divided by curtains, and only certain people can go.
Only the high priest, yeah.
Yeah, they can go to the inner.
And that's where Yahweh's true name.
That's where the Ark of the Covenant is.
Oh.
But I think I could be wrong. I hate saying things like while I'm being live streamed because it's like maybe totally making shit up. But I feel like it might say that God appears to them above above the Ark of the Covenant. But I might be making that up. I might be making that up.
If my coworker was you punch in his mouth and then spit out like a bunch of shells at a time.
Yeah, some people just chew it all up and then like the
Oh, that too.
seeds like
No, but I can take all of
Separate.
these and separate each of them individually now. It took me some skill, but I can do it.
I could do that, I
Yeah.
think.
It's almost like a challenge.
It's like a substitute for chewing tobacco. That's exactly what you do with chewing tobacco.
I like it.
Is put it all in one ear.
I'm okay.
Did I even get the seed out of that? I'm not sure.
Taki. Well, I feel like there's probably some times where I do lose the seed in the middle, and it's just whatever.
I'm gonna have to.
It's Taki's.
This will be my new skill at work. You wanna go? I have a hand.
Okay, where are we at?
The statutes. No. Top right.
The statues up here. Here.
Mhm.
It is said also that Numa built the temple of Vesta, which is intended to be a repository of the holy fire, of a circular form, not to represent the figure of the earth as if it were the same as Vesta, but that of a general universe, in the center of which the Pythagoreans place the element of fire and give it the name of Vesta, and the unit, and do not hold that the earth is immovable or that it is situated in the center of the globe, but that it keeps circular motion about a seat of fire and is not in the number of the primary elements. And this agreeing with the opinion of Plato, who they say in his later life conceived that the earth held a lateral position, and the central and sovereign space reserved for some nobler body. That's the part that I thought reminded me of the celestial chariot a little bit, but not really. It's not
What's
like
the celestial chariot?
The celestial chariot is in the Bible, and Ezekiel's having this like vision, and there's like these, there's like fire, and there's like these wheels. So have you ever seen the memes where it's like biblically accurate angels?
Yeah.
They're
They're crazy. 1,000 eyes, a rim of
Yeah,
eyes,
so-
wings.
so
all over the
those are
place,
usually
orbiting.
sometimes they're actually not biblically accurate either, but they're generally depicting the vision in Ezekiel.
Mhm.
And so there are these rings with eyes on them, and there's fire. I think there might be a throne, and there are these like angels with like, there's like creatures with like multiple different faces and wings, and their wings have eyes on them, and but there's like a fire in the center of this thing. And so some people feel like it's. I think there might be different interpretations. I mean, I know it as the celestial chariot, but there might be different interpretations of what that is. But I mean, this is very
But this reminds you of it, and not Plato's allegory of the chariot.
no, because it's talking about a fire in the center of it, and there's primary elements moving about and stuff. I mean, it seems like they're talking about the universe, and they're talking about, I don't know.
Yeah, the composition of matter, kind of thing.
How the hell did you do this?
That's the seed. Eat that part.
Pick it up off the mixed spittle.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I read a chapter, and I'm still working on my pouch.
Still one. The same one.
It's got a whole handful I got in there.
All right.
Wait, so do
who's
you-
reading?
Do you? Where do you use the seeds? When do you separate them?
I
Eat them.
You can chew the seeds separately.
Yes.
Oh my god.
You split the seed. The thing.
You
You
take
pull-
one of these
Okay.
and
You
put this in your
pull.
mouth.
I'm doing it now. You pull the seed out.
There
That's
it
the
is.
seed. You separate the seed,
So this is in one side of my
and you
mouth.
get the shell.
This is in one side. I'll take this to the other
In the
side.
cheek. In your cheek.
Yeah.
You pull out one seed.
Yeah.
Everything else is still in the cheek. Don't have to ever worry about it because it's all in your cheek.
And then somehow,
You split it down the middle. You pull the seed out.
self-challenge. Then somehow I shove the two halves.
And you just take the seed. Get rid of everything else.
Oh, you're putting these out one by one. My coworker
Then you have the
spits
seed.
out all the shells.
Yeah,
at once.
because
I don't
he's
know
a monster and he just chews them and chews them and chews them and chews them and swallows the thing.
Well, you
And
could.
it's-
I've got my fresh pile over here. I move them into my mouth. I open them. I extract the seed, and then they move the husks to the other side of my mouth.
So you have fresh reserve,
Oh.
I'm
Those
like
smells.
a chipmunk. Yeah.
and then somehow you somehow chew the seed without getting any of the husks back between your teeth.
Correct. I think I do lose the seed sometimes, or I'll chew it, and like once it's broken up, it's like hard to know where it went. But yeah. But I do swallow the seed too.
That's crazy.
So you don't chew it.
No, I do chew it. Yeah.
Keep reading.
Sure.
There was.
I know. Hold on a second. I got a lot of stuff in my mouth right now. There was yet a farther use of the priests that was to give the people directions in the national usage of funeral rites. Numa taught them to regard these offices not as a pollution, but as a duty paid to the gods below, into whose hands the better part of us is transmitted. Especially, they were to worship the goddess Libidina, who presided over all the ceremonies performed at burials, whether they meant by Prosperina or by the most learned of the Romans conceived, Venus, not inaptly attributing the beginning and the end of a man's life to the agency of one and the same deity. Numa also prescribed rules for regulating the days of mourning, according to the certain times and ages. As, for example, a child of 3 years was not to be mourned at all, one older up to 10 years, for as many months as it was years old, and the longest time of mourning for any person whatsoever was not to exceed the term of 10 months, which was the time appointed for women that lost their husbands to continue in widowhood. If any married again before that time, by the laws of Numa, she was to sacrifice a cow big with a calf. So if you got, was it a 3-year-old baby? And no mourning for you. Well, I thought is it the Romans or the Spartans that would like take deformed babies and just like leave them to die?
Spartans.
Spartans.
Throw them off a cliff. The elders would take them.
I think the Romans did stuff like that too, didn't they? I could be wrong.
You got? You want to handle butt bath?
Oh, sorry.
Where are we?
You, once again, starting at the bottom part.
I've got a job doing my mouth right now. There's a lot going on here.
Numa
I
also
took out everything but. Go on.
was founder of several other orders of priests, 2 of which I shall mention: the Sali and the Fecials, which are among the clearest proofs of the devoutness and sanctity of his character. These Fecials, or guardians of poop, just kidding, I said that, guardians of peace, seems to have had their name from their office, which was to put a stop to disputes by conference and speech, for it was not allowable to take up arms until they had declared all hopes of accommodation to be at an end. For in Greek, too, we call it peace when disputes are settled by words and not by force. The Romans commonly dispatched the fecials, or heralds, of those who had offered them injury, requesting satisfaction, and in case they refused, they then called the gods to witness, and with imprecations upon themselves and their country should be acting unjustly, so declared war against their will, or without their consent. It was lawful neither for soldier nor king to take up arms. The war was begun with them, and when they had first handed it over to commander as a quarrel, then his business was to deliberate of the manner and ways to carry it on. It is believed that the slaughter and destruction which the Gauls made of the Romans was a judgment on the city for neglect of this religious proceeding. For that when these barbarians besieged the Colcinians, Fabius Ambustus was dispatched to their camp to negotiate peace for the besieged, and on their returning a rude refusal, Fabius imagined his office of ambassador was at an end, and rashly engaging on the side of the Clausinians, challenged the bravest of an enemy to a single combat. It was the fortune of Fabius to kill his adversary and take his spoils, but when the Gauls discovered it, they sent a herald to Rome to complain against him, since, before the war was declared, he had, against the law of nations, made a breach of the peace train. The matter being debated in the Senate, and the Fecials were of the opinion Fabius ought to be consigned into the hands of the Gauls, but he, being forewarned of their judgment, fled to the people, by whose protection and favor he escaped the sentence. On this, the Gauls marched with their army to Rome, where, having taken the capital, they sacked the city. The particulars of all which are fully given in the history of Camillus. The origin of the Sali is this. In the 8th year of the reign of Numa, a terrible pestilence, which traversed all Italy, ravaged likewise the city of Rome, and the citizens, being distressed and despondent, a brazen target, they say, fell from the heaven into the hands of Numa, who gave them this marvelous account of it. Egeria, the Muses, had assured him that it was sent from the heaven to cure and safety of the city, and that, to keep it secure, he was ordered by them to make 11 others, like Lord of the Rings. So, like in dimensions and form to the original, that no thief should be able to distinguish the true from the counterfeit. Tolkien. His father declared that he was commanded to consecrate the Muses, the place, and the fields about it, where they had been chiefly wont to meet with him. And the spring, which watered the fields, should be hallowed for use of the Vestal virgins, who were wash and cleanse the
Read it.
what?
Read it.
What? Pen,
Read the word.
penetrala
Penetralia?
penetralia
Whoa.
of the
Right.
sanctuary.
No. Penetralia.
Oh,
Oh.
hold on.
Oops.
The Vestal virgins were to wash and cleanse the penetralia of their sanctuary
It sounds like the gateway.
with the holy water.
Like,
The truth of all, which was speedily verified by the cessation of the pestilence. Numa displayed the target of the artificers and bade them to show their skill in making others like it. All despaired until at length one Mamurius Venturius, an excellent workman, happily hit upon it, and made all so exactly the same that Numa himself was at a loss and could not distinguish. The keeping of these targets was committed to the change of certain priests called Sali, who did not receive their name, as some tell the story, from Salius dancing master, born in Samothrace, or at Mantinia, who taught way of the dancing in arms, but more truly from that of dancing which the Sali themselves used, when in the month of March they carried the sacred targets through the city, at which procession they are habited in short frocks of purple, grit with a broad belt, strutted with brass. On their heads they wear a brass helmet, and carry in their hands short daggers, which they clash every now and then against the targets. But the chief thing is the dance itself. They move with much grace, performing in quick time and close order vivacious, intricate figures, the great display of strength and agility. The targets were called ancilia from their form, and they are not made round, nor, like proper targets, of a complete circumference, but are cut out into the wavy line, the ends of which are rounded off and turned in at the thickest part toward each other, so that their shape is curvilinear, or in Greek, ancylon, or the name may come from ancon, the elbow on which they carry. Thus, Juba writes, who is eager to make it Greek. But it might be, for that matter, from its having come down and canthnon from above, or with its acasis, or curse of disease, or echumonlysis, but it end to drought from its anaschesis,
Like
or
a
relief
Philippine
from chlamydes, which is the origin of the Athenian name anases, given to Castor of Pollux. If we must, that is, to reduce it to Greek, the reward of Mamurius received for his art to be mentioned and commemorated in the verses which the Sali sang, as they danced in their arms through the city, though some of it have it that they do not say, Veturium, Mamurium, the Vernum,
You're gonna someone say it with
Memoriam,
all these words.
ancient remembrance. I have no idea. I have no idea what
You're
we're
gonna
talking
open a gate to hell.
After Numa, in this manner instituted these several orders of priests, he erected near the temple of Vesta what is called to this day Regina, or King's House, where he spent most of part of his time performing the divine service. I would perform the divine service too. Instructing the priests or conversing with them on sacred subjects. He had another house on Mount Cornelius, a site which they show to this day in all public processions and solemn prayers. Criers were sent before to give notice to the people that they should forbear their work and rest. They say that Pythagoreans did not allow people to worship and pray to their gods by the way, but would have them go out from their house direct, with their minds set upon duty, and Numa, in like manner, wished that his citizens should neither see nor hear any religious service in a perfunctory and inattentive manner, but laying aside all other occupations should apply their minds to religion as to a most serious business, and that the streets should be free from all noises and cries that accompany manual labor, and clear for the sacred solemnity. Some traces of this custom remain at Rome to this day, for when the consul begins to take auspices, to do sacrifice, they call out to the people, Hoc age, attend to this.
Okay.
whereby the-
Okay.
Age.
Who cares? Hoc a
Okay.
age,
This- Make this done.
Hoc age. Attend to whereby the auditors then present are admonished to compose and recollect themselves. Many of other his precepts resemble those of the Pythagoreans. The Pythagoreans said, for example, "Thou shalt not make a peck measure thy seat to sit on. Thou shalt stir the fire with a sword. When thou goest upon a journey, look not behind thee. When thou sacrifice to the celestial gods, let it be with an odd number, and when to the terrestrial, with even." The significance of each which the precepts they would not commonly disclose, so some of Numa's traditions have no obvious meaning. Thou shalt not make libation to the gods of wine from an
Yours, my seats are teeny tiny. Yours is huge.
Oh, same size.
of wine. Where'd that go?
Oh, no, I'm paying attention. No sacrifices should be performed without meal. Isn't that where you were? Thou shalt not make a peck measure of the
Uh,
to sit on.
Wine from an unpruned vine. No sacrifices shall be performed without meal. Turn round to pay adoration to the gods. Sit after you have worshipped. The first two directions seem to denote the cultivation of subduing of the earth as part of religion, and as to the turning, which the worshippers are to use in divine adoration, it is said to represent the rotary motion of the world. But in my opinion, the meaning rather is that the worshipper, since the temples front the east.
So what happened to our?
The temples front the east.
What happened to our vestigial virgins?
Vestigial.
Where did they go?
Vestal.
They were like naked and being carried around,
We talked about how they were what they did when they were committed crimes.
and they were like buried alive and stuff.
Faces round the
And what do they do?
enters with his back to the rising sun, there faces round to the east, and so turns back to the god of the temple. By this circular movement, referring the fulfillment of his prayers to both divinities, unless indeed this change of posture may have a mystical meaning, like the Egyptian wheels, to signify to us the instability of human fortune, and that, in whatever way God changes and turns our lot and condition, we should rest contented and accept it as right and fitting. They say also that the sitting after worship was to be by way of omen of their petitions being granted, and the blessing that they asked assured to them. Again, as different courses of actions are divided by intervals of rest, they might seat themselves after the completion of what they had done to seek favor with the gods for beginning something else. And this would very well suited what we had before. The lawgiver wants to habituate us to make our petitions to the deity, not, by the way, and as it were, in a hurry, when we have other things to do, with time and leisure to attend to it. Such discipline and schooling in religion, the city passed insensibly into such a submissiveness of temper, and stood in such awe and reverence of the virtue of Numa, and they received with an undoubted assurance whatever he delivered, though never so fabulous, and though nothing incredible or impossible from him.
So is this
Holy
whole
shit,
page
that's blowing my mind.
this whole page nothing but, or is it who is it talking about? The Pythagoreans did not allow people to worship. Is this just the way people worshipped, or are we talking about a specific group again?
I feel like this is the high priest in the temple, the person who's like the ceremonial master, who's in charge of conducting, processions and sacrifices and so forth.
I can ask ChatGPT.
He's like outlining what the ritual looks like from the ritual master's perspective, in my mind, but who knows?
Oh, didn't we learn about the Pontifex Maximus? Did they talk about that?
Mm-hmm.
So you think it's the Pontifex Maximus?
I ain't learned nothing. Where's my phone? I want to take a picture of this page.
you're like doing like pose and take a
Oh
selfie
my
with it.
god, that was so much.
We didn't even get to the whole section.
We
about
didn't do the
monks yet.
comparison yet.
No, we still have like 6 pages left.
Oh my
I gotta
God.
go. I have to go before we finish that.
Holy
Oh.
smoke. I'm kind of like.
Stuck in the middle of an area.
The radio.
Yeah, it's got FM.
Oh, cool.
All right. Thanks for joining us. This is our weekly Great Works of the Western World discussion group.
I'm gonna pose.
We meet here, and thanks for joining us. We're in Plutarch's Lives. Yeah.
Of course, I'm the only one that's joined us.
Bye.